Yeah, so what I want to talk about today, um, in more detail, um, was about I guess what's happening right now, right? The really big thing that's happening right now is this whole scandal at Glastonbury, where this band that honestly I had not heard before, um, this band, Bob Vylan, um, essentially was the pre-show to Kneecap, who was not going to be streamed, of course, because like Kneecap has been cancelled by the BBC. Um, and they started showing this show, and I'm not going to show you the footage because like copyrights. I don't want to get like strikes or anything like that. But essentially, this guy started to chant. Um, I don't know if I can say that actually. Can I say that on Twitch? Well, you know what he chanted, right? Um, he wished an early demise to members of the Israeli Defense Forces, as a chant. Um, and there's been this like huge reaction to this as a way of like saying, can you believe that this is happening? Can you believe how radicalized society has gone? And I thought it was important to talk about this, from the perspective of discourse. I like engaging with you guys about like how discourse happens, because I um like I'll come of it from the get go, right? Like, um me personally, what I want for the IDF is accountability. I want genocidaires to go to jail. I don't really subscribe to the death penalty. I don't really subscribe to death as revenge. We were talking about movies a second ago. Like there's this trope that like death is the ultimate punishment, and I don't think so. I think it's much better to have accountability. So if I'm going to chant something, most likely I would, like, if you were to ask me what is my favorite, what would be my favorite chant, um, I would say like justice for Palestine. That's my feeling on this, right? Um, but I find it particularly hypocritical to, as Magic is saying, clutching pearls, on this, when there are so many videos online of Israelis, and in particular IDF soldiers, chanting, or singing this song "May Your Village Burn," which is a genocidal song. So I want to share with you. Let me put it on the screen. I want to share with you my what I tweeted about this so that you can see what I'm talking about. I didn't have the screen sharing yet. Okay, so um, this is from, I don't know if you can read this. I hope you can read this. So this is from South Africa's dossier on evidence on genocidal intent. Okay, and like, read this in the context of people are shocked that a singer would make a chant that is advocating for violence against members of the IDF, members of the Israeli army, right? Um, this is what South Africa says. It says incitement to the genocide of Palestinians has also become mainstream in Israeli popular culture, with genocidal songs and anthems routinely topping the charts. Song lyrics include "May your village burn," as addressed above, and calls on the Israeli army to give no warning and to shoot rockets like rain until Gaza is erased. Popular songs routinely taunt Palestinians in Gaza with lyrics such as "Good morning Gaza, another day, another dead Nazi, no survivors." One song with over 2.4 million views on YouTube includes the following lyrics: "We got into Gaza, we'll get out of only when it's gone. It will be hard for you to see pictures from Gaza. You don't have any neighborhoods left in Gaza. You're not able to drink in Gaza anymore. You won't get to bury the bodies in Gaza. The IDF is moving in on you. The whole company, your houses are collapsing non-stop. Goodbye, you whores, all of you Fatimas," which I'm assuming is some sort of like insult, based on the fact that it is an Arab name. "Look like vomiting sound. Like whores. You have no bread or water. Oh, and you don't have a home either. Launch." This is like, this is what happens in Israel, and there's no pearl clutching over this. Right? So the level of hypocrisy here is like freaking mind blowing. Let me open this in here as well. And then it continues. Another song which topped the Israeli charts for 5 weeks includes the lyrics, "We swear there won't be forgiveness, sons of Amalek." The more recent release of a bonus verse for the song refers to writing names in shells, so in like missiles and bombs, destroying Gaza and turning Gaza into a parking lot, and referring to Palestinians in explicit terms, has been performed for Israeli school children. A previous song called "The Friendship Song," sung by Israeli children, included the genocidal lyrics, "In another year there will be nothing there. Within a year we will annihilate everyone." This is children singing this, like what the hell? Such songs are repeatedly played as the soundtrack to videos posted on social media by Israeli soldiers, by IDF soldiers, firing missiles into Gaza, filming the ruins of Gaza, and recording the destruction of buildings, including schools. Their role in inciting to the genocide of Palestinians in Gaza could not be clearer. Like, it is incredible to me how we have this level of scandal, panic about a violent chant that occurs in like a matter of seconds in a video. And again, not my personal favorite chant, but absolutely no reaction to this genocidal onslaught of songs. And that receives no coverage. That doesn't scandalize, because Palestinian life doesn't matter. Because Palestinian life is orientalized and Israeli life is humanized. Right? So when you know this, what happened when Israeli football fans went to the Netherlands and started chanting "Death to Arabs" as they went down into the tube? What happened? Nothing. Nothing happened. No one went to jail. No Somerset police, no Dutch police started investigating them. You know what happened? The taxi drivers of Amsterdam picked up a fight with them because they said, "You're not going to come into my city and start chanting that." And then Israeli sources started calling that a pogrom. And like I said at the time, I absolutely 100% do not deny and absolutely can believe that there were anti-Semitic incidents in those days in Amsterdam. Like I 100% believe. I've seen videos of people like going going to punch someone and that person saying, "I'm not Jewish," and then not hitting them. Like 100% there were anti-Semitic events in those Amsterdam, football brawls. But to call that a pogrom is ridiculous, right? Especially when you have the video of hundreds of Israeli fans chanting "Death to Arabs" in a city with a lot of Arabs. Like, that doesn't generate scandal. On the contrary, it is them who end up being the victims in discourse. It's a level of hypocrisy that it's difficult to fathom. Like, I also shared like these videos here. I'm sure you can see them here. This is Yunus Firawi, who's done an excellent job reporting stuff. This is Israeli IDF soldiers singing "May Your Village Burn." These are people that will hold guns and shoot them in Gaza, and they are singing a genocidal song. This didn't make it to the BBC. This didn't make it. This wasn't a scandal, right? And this is not isolated. Look at this. Like, again, soldiers, people who will go and kill people, talking about how Palestinian villages needs to be burned down in a clearly genocidal song, as we've discussed here, and they're singing it, and that doesn't generate the same kind of reaction. So why not? What is going on in discourse that makes Palestinian life so dehumanized that you can have soldiers carrying out a genocide singing genocidal songs and no one bats an eye, but you have a singer, an unarmed singer, saying a chant in a concert, and all of a sudden people seem to think that they need to defend these individuals, these armed people that will actually go in and kill people, from the words by an unarmed singer at Glastonbury. And again, probably not the hill I would die on. Like, again, I want to be very clear. I'm not advocating for like using violence against anyone, really. Probably not my, like, it doesn't, that's not what's important. That's not what matters. The words chosen in that scenario don't matter, because what you have in front of you is so overwhelmingly genocidal, to the point where people who are carrying out a genocide are telling you that they are singing genocidal songs, that shouldn't be the focus. That's my point. That's my point. And it doesn't stop there. Here you have students dancing and chanting May Your Village Burn at a Palestinian 7th grade girl who said Free Palestine. Like, these are children, man. This is a wedding. You get the idea. Then you have this. This was Jerusalem. May your village burn and go to Gaza. Like, you have, this one is from like 2023, before October 7th. May your village burn. Like, and of course there's this one, which is the famous one from the South African dossier. So again, soldiers. They're gonna start singing about how there's no one involved in a second. Look, look, they get excited now. There are no uninvolved civilians. That's when they get excited. That's when they chant more. That's when they get very excited, when they say that there's no innocent civilians. Like, this is what's in front of us, right? Constantly, since before October 7th. But what is generating this like unreasonable sense of like, oh, I am now unsafe, is this musician, this guy who I had never heard of, Bob Vylan, before. And they are now national news with like the police investigating them. Like, some measure of proportion needs to be at play here. It can't be this hypocritical. Like, how many of these soldiers that chant, there are no uninvolved civilians and may your village burn, are dual Israeli British nationals? Is there any effort to police that? So this double standard is what really bothers me, where you have like an avalanche, huge, enormous, obvious genocidal statements coming from Israel in an army that is committing a genocide, shooting kids in the head, that is shooting at starving civilians, that is starving an entire population. And it is them who need to be protected because of the words of a singer. It's sort of bonkers. It's sort of really messed up. And it doesn't, for me at least, even if you feel unsafe with this like chant, if you have never condemned this, you have no leg to stand on this. You should not be speaking. Because this is everywhere. It's so hypocritical. I just don't understand it. Like, again, as someone whose preferred slogan would not be that, but would be instead justice for Palestine, I still think it's insane that that is what's generating all of the scandal. Especially when you look at what this group is about. Like they sang this song on their sketch, not sketch, on in their concert, right? The song that they were singing, I can't show you the footage because of copyright, and I don't want to be like, I don't want to get strikes and copyrights and stuff. But the song that they were singing has also generated some level of like scandal. Like there's this guy, let me see if I can find the guy who did this here. So I don't know this person Drew, but he's a Western civilization enjoyer and follows me. He says, "At my heart, I am a moderate, progressive social democrat." Like, we'll see, we'll see. But the popularity of tanky third worldist Maoism in leftist circles is so profoundly alienating and pushing me more conservative. What is third worldist Maoism, and why is it that third worldist is always framed as a negative? Like, I don't get that. Like, is that really a progressive moderate? Rosova says he's a right-wing agitator, allegedly financed by a far-right millionaire, or something like that. Well, I mean, yeah, I had never heard of him before, and I just saw this tweet, and I was like, this is kind of ridiculous. So apparently, yeah, apparently this is third world Maoist tankism. Like, as a Peruvian guy who like actually had to like live during an armed conflict with a Maoist terrorist group, there's nothing Maoist about what happened in Glastonbury. So this is, here we have the main act at Glastonbury. I don't even think it was the main act. An incredibly prestigious position to occupy, chanting for race war, gloating about white people becoming minorities, celebrating decolonial massacres. Nothing of this is actually said in the lyrics of the song. It's kind of mind-blowing that it's being portrayed this way. I'm going to look at the lyrics of the song in a second and explain to you where this group is coming from. But like, this is not it. This paranoia is not it. Right? The standard left-wing response line when challenged about all this is to deny that it is happening. Well, yeah, because they haven't said race war, they haven't gloated about white people becoming minorities, and they don't use the word decolonial or massacre. Right? They will laugh at you and pretend that it is a few fringe extremists. No, it's not a few fringe extremists. They did not say it. On social media being amplified by Fox News as right-wing propaganda. But it is clearly not. It's one of the main stage of. It's not in the main stage of Glastonbury. They never said this. They never did this. This is like when people have started now to accuse me of saying like that. If I criticize anything that has to do with Zionism, they say, "Oh, you hate Jews." You know how many million of people are Zionists and don't uh, and aren't Jews? How many Christians are Zionists? How many Hindus are Zionists? How many Israeli non-Jewish Israelis are Zionists? It's it, the distortion of reality to promote a narrative is very weird to me. So essentially, what I said is, looking at the lyrics, that like, yeah, there's nothing third world Maoist about this. I don't even know what third world Maoist is like. Yeah, what does that look like in the context of this song, right? So this song is called, what is this? It's called I heard you want your country back, right? Look at this song. Like, it is essentially a song about a black British person looking at the rise of racism in the UK and saying, it's so ironic that you would be saying that you want your country back, because I want my country back too, because well, in this case, like Bob Vylan is British. He's a black British person. He wants his country back too, because it wasn't this racist, in this level of, I mean, it was racist, but like it wasn't as, uh, it, it, you didn't have people chanting, I want my country back. Enoch Powell in the UK was seen as a bad person. Now the prime minister, a supposed leftist, is like channeling his ideas, his like rivers of blood speech in UK politics. Right? So what he's saying is, I want my country back from you. You want your country back because you want to get rid of me. I want my country back because I want you to stop trying to like say that I'm not British. That's the song. It says like, I heard you want your country back. Shut the f up. I heard you want your country back. You can't have that. I heard you want your country back. Shut the f up. I heard you want your country back. Well, shit, me too. Well, me too. Right? That's the key part here. You want your country back? Well, I want it back too, because you are ruining it. It's not me that's ruining it, it's you that's ruining it. That's this song. It's an anti-racist song. It's an anti-fascist song. It's nothing to do with whites being a minority or like, I don't know what else he said, like third world Maoism. Literally says, you stole it right out of my hands and pulled the rug right under my feet. Like, you stole my country. Like, the racist that says, I want my country back, stole Bob Vylan's country from him, or from them, right? You stole it right out of my hands and pulled the rug right under my feet. I am Nat Turner. Who's Nat Turner? Nat Turner is a slave in the United States who revolted against slavery and, you know, massacred a bunch of like slavers. So he's a symbol for revolution, right? Violent revolution. I'm Nat Turner meets Nat King Cole. Who's Nat King Cole? A jazz singer, right? So what this guy, I forgot his name. What this guy is saying is, oh, you're referencing Nat Turner, so you are talking about killing whites. No, my friend. He's saying I'm Nat Turner meets Nat King Cole, a well-dressed brother with a revolution in my soul. Like, he's identifying himself with the tradition of anti-colonial revolution. He's not advocating to kill anyone here. We the people in the street got the, well, this is a term that's used to like insult conservatives and Brexiteers in the United Kingdom. I actually don't know the politics of this one. I don't know if I can say it out loud, so I won't. Like, on retreat and their blood boils over when we speak. So this guy is saying there are conservatives that boil their blood when when people like Bob Vylan, black British people, speak up. And here's this guy freaking out because Bob Vylan is speaking up. He's the object of the song, right? This song is about that. This song is about anti-racism. And then yeah, the chorus continues. Right. This is a band that talks about social justice and like talks about racism. It feels to me like that message is more pertinent, is more important than the chant at the beginning of the song. Right here, this whole thing of you are stealing my country from me is more important as a message. And this isn't, I was looking into their songs, this isn't every single song that they have. They are a group that talks about social justice and anti-racism. Of course, they're going to support Palestine then, because Palestine is about social justice and anti-racism, because Zionism is racist as an ideology that believes that Palestinians don't count as a people because you have a people without a land for a land without a people. So of course they would support Palestine. And I feel like in discussing the chant, there's two things that are being ignored that are more important than the chant that honestly will or actually should be placed in second tier importance. Number one thing that is being ignored is that the hypocrisy with the genocidal slogans that come out of Israel en masse. Number two, this message, the song's message. Oh hey Modus Dota, thanks for subscribing. Appreciate that. So this message of the song, this message of Bob Vylan is more important. It's important to stop and listen to what this band is saying because they are like the UK is now a country where like just recently there was a race riot. There were like resentful racist white people were lied to by mass media about the identity of an attacker of a knife attack and went on the streets to try to burn down places where racialized immigrants and asylum seekers were located. And they went street by street punching people of color in the face. And then, of course, the neighborhoods, because this is London, united and they did like anti fascist responses and, of course, overwhelmed the fascists. But, like, that's the reality that we are living in this country. Listening to this song is important because of that. Because yes, they are losing their country. British people are losing their country. Black British people are losing their country. Minorities in the UK are losing their country because of racists. That's the message that we should be discussing. Like they have all sorts of like interesting songs. I was looking into this. There's this song called apparently this is their big hit, right? We Live Here. I'm gonna warn you, it has some like it includes the N word, so I'm obviously not gonna read that. I tried to find the censored version, but I couldn't, so I apologize for that. So I'm gonna try not to show it. We didn't appear out of thin air. We live here, right? That's the point of the song. That they belong in the United Kingdom. That this country is also theirs. Not a racist, you're just proud. Why should you be left out? We've got the right to vote. I mean, what more could we want? Free to go where I like if I look like I belong. If not, F off. Go on, boy, move along. Remember Stephen Lawrence? He too was free to roam. 18 years old at the bus stop, murdered on his way home. Who is Stephen Lawrence? For those who don't know, Stephen Lawrence was an 18-year-old kid who was waiting for a bus and was jumped by two underage white kids who stabbed him to death. And then he tried to flee, but they had ruptured his lung, and so he died. He was black British kid, and died running for his life with a ruptured lung because he was stabbed twice by two white kids who were racially motivated and just hated him because he was black. This was in the 1990s. And what happened? Well, the public prosecutor did not open up an investigation. The family had to push to open an investigation. And when they opened an investigation, then the prosecution did not open a case. They refused to indict anyone. And then a long time went by, and in the mid 2000s, new investigations were done, and they concluded that the reason why no investigations were opened, no indictments were made, was because of institutional racism. That police officers had received instructions to smear the family of this dead kid so that public opinion would shift and they would not need to open up an investigation. This is the UK in the 1990s and early 2000s. And so the investigation was reopened. It was concluded that, eventually one of the guys confessed and they were sentenced to like 14 and 15 years in prison. But like, I'm sorry, I've lived in the UK for 5 years, right? And I learned of this because I looked into this band because of what happened yesterday in Glastonbury. I did not know who Stephen Lawrence was. Ironically, I do know who Trayvon Martin was. Right? I do know about Black Lives Matter. I didn't know about this, and I live here. So I feel like this is a more important message than a chant. Right? This is a song from the 2020s. And it's trying to tell people, remember what this country is like. Learn what this country is like. Learn about racism. Learn about injustice. They have another song about toxic racist masculinity. They have another song about access to healthcare and healthy food that engages with like the stress of not being able to pay for quality health. Like, I feel like we should be talking about that, not about the chant. And if you connect those struggles, if you connect the struggle, so what is happening in the United Kingdom when it comes to racism right now has to do with the same structures and the same ways of working that lead Israeli society to chant genocidal slogans and send an army to commit a genocide against Palestinians. What are those forces like in the United Kingdom? Well, there's a strong belief in the United Kingdom that the in-group that has been produced in the United Kingdom, the nation that the United Kingdom has to produce, is white Anglo-Saxon. And that it admits no diversity. Just recently, there was this discussion in British politics about whether a black person could be English. As in not black British. Black British is accepted, but English, a black English person. And so many people in the UK are now arguing, no, a black person cannot be English. Which to me is like insane, right? You have Rishi Sunak, for example, who is of Indian descent. He is very English in his culture, in his way of being, his way of thinking. But he is not considered English by a lot of racists. That dynamic, that idea that there's an in-group white Anglo-Saxons that needs to be protected by the English state, or like, it's not a state, but like the government or whatever, like the British government, the British state. And then there's an out-group that doesn't belong in Western civilization, right? Muslims, people of color, people of Indian descent, Black British, all of these groups of people that don't really belong, and there's a gender component to this as well. Trans women in the UK are extremely repressed and oppressed, and trans men, trans people in general, right? Anyone who doesn't fit in this like white heterosexual male standard is being repressed in the United Kingdom. Because the in-group, the nation that the United Kingdom needs to protect is the white Anglo-Saxon male, right? And And that is leading to British people seeing refugees, people that are like fighting for their lives, crossing the English Channel as invaders, as dangerous people, as like military age males, right, that are going to attack. Um, sorry, let me get rid of this. That are going to attack and change the fabric um, of your country, right? That you should protect against. And so people are drowning in the English Channel, so that and then people that don't drown get to come to the UK and face an incredibly hostile environment where they cannot work. They're put in like lousy hotels. They put in boats that get them diseases, um, so that the in group can be protected. There is very little difference in the structures and forces that do that, that create this in-group of white Anglo-Saxons that represses Muslims, that represses Indians, that represses people of color, that represses immigrants and asylum seekers, and the structures that say that the in-group is the Jewish Israeli, and that everyone else is in the out-group and doesn't deserve the same rights in Israel. It's the same dynamics of a nation state that is designed to exclude whoever is not created, whoever is not assigned the category of the nation, the in group, the one who belongs, right? So Britain is for white Anglo-Saxons and Israel is for Jewish people. And everyone else is a minority. And this is something that, Mahmoud Mamdani, the Soran Mamdani's father, writes about this in his book, like neither settler nor native. He talks about how the very idea of the nation state is designed to create what he calls permanent minorities, people who will always be the outgroup, otherized, orientalized, discriminated, racialized, apartheid, even sometimes genocided. So you have this band that is looking at how the English nation is being shaped, formed, twisted to exclude them from the in group, and so that they can be discriminated and eventually expelled or eventually replaced. And this is not an irrational fear. This is what so many countries have already done with the widening of the race policies. Like my country and Argentina in South America imported white people, imported Italians and Irish so that there would be less people of color in their countries. Brazil did this. So it's not an irrational fear to think that, there can be a concerted effort to destroy your culture. It's happened before elsewhere, right? And so you have this band, this group, that sings about that and tackles how they are being pushed out of British society. They're being pushed out of their own country. Their own country is being stolen, right, under their very feet, as the song says. They are being pushed out. They're being discriminated. And then they see the same process happening in Palestine of a group of people, a population that is being pushed out, excluded, apartheided, and even genocided. Of course they're going to side with them because it's the same processes. It's the same dynamics. It's the same struggles. And this is why solidarity is so important in the colonized world, in the non-Western racialized world, right? Because it's the same struggles, it's the same problems, it's the same racism, that it's the same colonial mindset that leads to different outcomes, but to similar oppressions. So of course this group would side with them. Like, that is the message here. That there is one single line connecting what is happening in Palestine and what is happening in the United Kingdom. That is the real news here. And this is something that this group, this Bob Vylan group, is channeling with their music. And the fact that we are ignoring both the genocidal chants of Israelis and this very important message for the United Kingdom that is being sung by this Bob Vylan group, and instead focusing on the 10 seconds when they shouted a slogan that I won't even care to defend. Like, that's not the really important thing. That's not the really important thing of what happened in Glastonbury. That's not what matters. What matters is that there is a hypocrisy on the part of the people who are clutching their pearls to like, say what like Magic was saying, um, about something that is like super hypocritical because Israelis are doing it in an industrial scale and no one cares. And then we are missing out on the connections of solidarity between racism in the United Kingdom and racism in Palestine. That is what this band wants to say. And I encourage you guys to like listen to their music because like it is very interesting lyrics. I really liked it, despite the despite the scandal. So yeah, so that's what I wanted to say about the Glastonbury thing. And how it's such a ridiculous conversation that we're having right now that is like missing the forest for the trees. Um, yeah, okay, that was a long rant. Okay, guys, it's 7 p.m. I need to go cook dinner. So I'm gonna start ending. I'm gonna end the stream now.